Hey, it's Sue, and today I redesigned 3 of my Rise of the TMNT OCs, so let's get right into it. So this video is actually kind of going to be one that's posted kind of out of order, because I like to pre-make my videos, and this one is one of the later ones I'm doing. However, I need to post this now because it is a design that will show up in my comic, and the next part is nearly finished. And so to explain why they suddenly have different outfits and look a little different, I just wanted to show you their new designs. The one I am doing right now is Everkiss. I'm only doing the possums in this video because they are all the ones I finished, and they are quite fun. I wanted to show Everkiss's hand up here because he has a poncho thing, and if I keep his hands down, it's kind of hard to see the poses he's doing, so I wanted to stick his hand up, though I was having a little bit of trouble with that. The main things I changed about his design was I looked at an actual men's poncho for him so I could figure out what that looked like. I made his hat bigger, but that's just because I exaggerate those things a ton. And for his pants, I tucked them into like little sock things that I see sometimes in more Japanese outfits. And I made sure his ears pointed down, because sometimes when I draw him, his ears go through the hat, like he had cut little slits in them. And other times they go below it. I've officially decided that they will just be like flopped down. And I included his tail too, which I often forget to add. Unlike the other Rise OCs I have, I never made a character sheet for the possums. So these are the first ones they're getting, and I think they turned out quite good. I did have to play around with their colors a bit, but overall I really like how they turned out. When I was drawing them, I found that I didn't like how simple I was making them. So I got some references of anthropomorphic possums, and I found that typically they make their necks a little thicker and fluffier, and I found that their faces are a little bit longer than I was drawing them, and their noses are quite a bit smaller. I still draw their noses huge, but it's more tamed than what it was. I also finally found out that they do have 5 fingers, because I was debating between going with 3 and 5. I guess I probably just should have looked at a possum's hand sooner. But yeah, I did also look at references of actual possums, but I typically relied more on actual anthropomorphic ones because it's easier for me to do that, when they're already kind of humanoid. For the coloring, there wasn't much different. I just used some colors I already had available, and then I began shading with the colors I did on the other character sheets. It was just a muted blue set to multiply. I usually use brighter colors for shading, but I didn't do it on the other ones, so I'm not going to change it for this one. And it looks fine on just the character sheet since there's no actual lighting situation going on. They are just in a white void. After I finished the shading, I went in and added details of patches on his clothes because he gets all of his stuff from dumpsters, basically, because he is broke. There's a whole story behind it, but I really like the way it looks. It adds a little bit of a pop of color and ties in a little bit more of an Everkiss thing. I fixed up any more shading that I needed to do, and then I was ready to write out the bios. I laid them out exactly like I did the other ones. I wrote their name, their age, and then a bio, likes, dislikes, species, and favorite color. I did just realize we've known this for a while. We spell Everkiss's name really weird. When I say we, I mean me and my sister. She wrote it out and didn't realize she put an extra I in it. But for the bio, I went through different wordings, but in the end, I ended up with something like this. Everkiss is the perfect example of a wizard ordinaire, soon to be wizard extraordinaire. He plays his role as Sammy's father figure with dedication, but struggles to understand the actual foundations of parenthood. He is the leader of the possum gang and couldn't be more hilarious. I wasn't completely the one to come up with him. It was mostly my sister. I do portray him a little bit different than her, but he has the most hilarious personality ever, and definitely reflects some of our more chaotic sides when it comes to creating characters. He likes wizards, magic, and being in charge. he's not the most bossy person in the world, but he does like feeling like he's responsible and like he's like can do things. I feel like he just seems like the kind of person who doesn't want anyone else bossing around the other possums. He definitely dislikes failure and disapproval. It's like his greatest weakness. He's pretty overdramatic. He definitely dislikes being ignored because he is always the center of attention when he's around. And ignore those last two parts. They're not important. He is a possum or opossum, depending on how you read it. And his favorite color is, I guess you could call this a periwinkle. I don't know. It's like a weird bluey purple. I looked up a periwinkle flower. It was a similar color, so I just went with that. I did my signature, and then I was ready to move on to the next possum. I did Bramble next, and Bramble is the only girl in the possum gang. And she is just the absolute perfect picture of an Australian possum, which I don't know if those exist, but she is Australian. I don't know how, but she is, so just don't question it. I did something very different with her pose. I do wish I did more poses like this for the other girls on the character sheets, like Sammy and them, because I love this pose and the way it turned out. Instead of just doing a weird hands spread out standing there pose, it's got a little bit more personality. Though Bramble can be a little bit more chaotic, she's definitely one of the more reasonable of the groups, and she's very Australian. She has like a little crooked tail, and originally she had a hunchback, but I don't know how to draw that, and I never put the time into learning how to do that. So I'm just planning on giving her really bad posture, and I attempted to do that in this one, but it didn't really come across by the time I finished, because I didn't have it at the forefront of my mind the entire time. But I quite like the way her face turned out. I find that when drawing possums in front view, they tend to have their nose much lower on their face than I was originally drawing it, and it definitely gives it a much more possumy look than what I was doing with their giant clown noses I was giving them. I did love the giant noses, but I didn't need to make them that excessively large. I made her little belt buckle thing bent because, again, they get most of their stuff out of the garbage, though Bramble has been better about keeping hers in a good condition, though they're still a little bit tattered. I added that little thing, like wrinkle in her tail. I see that sometimes on the hands of Rise, and I don't think I did it quite right. It looks a little janky, but it's if I actually looked at a reference, I feel like I would have been able to get it better. For her colors, I did like kind of alternating. So she's got yellow on one side, pink on the other. Her main color is pink, but I do like the pop of yellow. I feel like I should brighten up the pink a little bit. It is a little dull, but I haven't done that yet. I wrote out her bio like everybody else. They are like 30 years old, which always cracks me up because they act almost younger than Sammy. But Bramble's bio wasn't as hard to write out, and it was. Bramble is the loyal Australian member of the Possum Gang. She does her best to help Everkiss with parenting, but tends to spend most of her time keeping Monty from eating something he most obviously shouldn't. She's basically Everkiss's little sister. Slightly little, or I don't know. It cracks me up to think that they're like 30 years old. Yeah. For her likes, I could not come up with something. For the life of me, I had to ask Star, but it's like marbles, buttons, and other small miscellaneous objects she can keep in a small pouch. She dislikes losing said objects, being separated from Everkiss, because she relies on him very thoroughly, and that's all I could come up with. She is a possum again, and her favorite color is pink. I really thought I was done, but apparently I wasn't. I forgot to put the shading in, so I ended up having to come back and do that. So you can see that now. I just did it exactly like I did the others, trying to keep the light source consistent, coming from the upper left. And yeah, I was a little sloppy with it, but now we can move on to Monty. And Monty is someone who needed one of the most drastic redesigns. Like Everkiss, I changed a couple things. Bramble, I changed almost nothing except for maybe her pants. And then Monty originally just had gloves and some very generic pants. So I gave him like a little fluffy, collary, scarfy thingy and a very baggy shirt. I also gave him some giant boots, like he grabbed a size that wasn't quite his, but just is just enough the size to stay on, kind of thing. He like tucks his shirt in, but like half of it's hanging out, and I just thought this was amazing. Monty always had a ear that just kind of flopped over, and I had to change the way that looked because he was looking like a dog, the way I was originally drawing it, so I changed it, and it does look a lot more like a possum now. Yeah, I really like the baggy kind of larger silhouette for him, because he was originally supposed to be the muscled group, but I ended up making him pretty short. So giving him a larger silhouette does kind of help portray that original concept. There's a picture from something that is not to be said yet, but that's where I was selecting his colors from. You haven't seen me fill in the base colors very much because I kind of just jump around and it's kind of sloppy and it's not really important, but I did have to change the contrast with his quite a bit. So yeah. I'm not going to cut it out because I've already talked over it. I didn't even know I forgot to cut it out, honestly. I do quite love the colors we picked for the possums. They have, especially like the face and stuff, so yeah. I say we, but it was just me. My sister did not do anything. For his shirt, I darkened up the color quite a bit because I wanted it to contrast. And I added patches to his too. And for this one, I picked Bramble's color, Everkiss's color, and Sammy's color to be his patches because I thought that would be cute, and I added little colored stitches to his thing. Yeah, and I think it turned out overall pretty good. This time I did not forget to add the shading, and I put it in before I did the bio. And yeah, Monty was the last one I did. I don't know if I did it the same day or the day after. None of these took me any longer than 40 minutes. But I had a lot of fun doing them and writing out the bios. The only thing that gave me a lot of trouble was the likes and dislikes because I could not come up with anything. And my sister wasn't always the most helpful. I did scale him up because he looked a little too small on this thing, and then I wrote out his bio, arranging it just like everyone else's. Despite his hilarious and slightly immature behavior, Monty is actually a year older than Bramble. So that's something. He's like right in between Bramble and Everkiss, but I feel like most people who meet him will assume he is younger than Bramble. Monty is well-meaning but extremely naive. He is very trusting in Everkiss and believes everything he says. He looks up to Bramble like she's a big sister, even though he is in fact older. And he is very curious and hilarious, just like Everkiss. I do find Bramble hilarious too, but I feel like when it comes to them, they are the top notch of hilarious. So, yes. For his likes, I had to get help from my sister. Yeah. Shiny things, bright colors, breathing on glass to draw little faces, which was one she was very adamant about me adding. Odd food combinations. And for his dislikes, I did have a lot of trouble coming up with dislikes for him since he is kind of overall a pretty positive fellow. But when I finally did come up with something, I chose heights, being alone, and because he likes to be with the other possums, and I couldn't come up with anything else, so that was it. And he is a possum, and his favorite color is blue. Purple blue, purpley blue, purple blue, yes. And that was that. And so these are the finished character designs. I had a lot of fun making this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too. My next part of the comic will be coming out extremely soon, so look forward to that, and I hope to see you all in my next video. Bye!